Welcome to this week's edition of Flashback Friday, your opportunity to get some good review by listening to episodes from the past that Jason has handpicked to help you today in the present and propel you into the future. Enjoy.
Speakers, publishers, consultants, coaches, and info marketers unite. The Speaking of Wealth show is your roadmap to success and significance. Learn the latest tools, technologies, and tactics to get more bookings, sell more products, and attract more clients. If you're looking to increase your direct response sales, create a big-time personal brand, and become the go-to guru, the Speaking of Wealth show is for you. Here's your host, Jason Hartman.
Welcome to the Speaking of Wealth show. This is your host, Jason Hartman, where we discuss profit strategies for speakers, publishers, authors, consultants, coaches, info marketers, and just go over a whole bunch of exciting things that you can use to increase your business, to make your business more successful and more passive and more automated and more scalable. So we will be back with a great interview. Be sure to visit us at speakingofwealth.com. You can take advantage of our blog, subscribe to the RSS feed, and many other resources for free at speakingofwealth.com. And we will be back with a great interview for you in less than 60 seconds.
Now you can get Jason's Creating Wealth in Today's Economy home study course. All the knowledge and education revealed in a 9-hour day of the Creating Wealth Bootcamp, created in a home study course for you to dive into at your convenience. For more details, go to jasonhartman.com.
Hey, it's my pleasure to welcome Jason Drohn to the show. He is an internet marketer who will talk to us about some great things, including maturing as an entrepreneur and business success and internet marketing and just a lot of great stuff, including how to start a movement. So, Jason, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for the introduction.
Good. How do you get such a good name? Jason, what a great name.
Yeah, for real.
Your latest and newest venture that looks very exciting is Leveling Up Academy, which is an entrepreneur training portal. Tell us more about that.
So Leveling Up Academy is really about giving tools and skill sets to people who want to start a business, whether it's primarily digital business for now, but we do have quite a bit of training in there for offline businesses as well. And it's really just about, moving through the discovery process, putting together different profit streams, getting traffic, and then ultimately scaling that business idea.
And how new is that? Have you launched yet?
We are launching. So we're kind of in the beta phase, I guess you could say. I mean, we launched it with our own list, our own internal list, and it's been going really, really well. We're in the process of doing some webinars and, doing all the affiliate stuff and everything. But we wanted to do a pretty good beta test of the training and the content and make sure people were moving through it and taking action and getting results and so on and so forth before we actually opened it up like full scale. So the front side, the public side, is going to be built out quite a bit more, lots more articles, lots more tips and strategies. And, of course, the members area is going to continue to be updated and stuff as we go through too.
How long have you been in the internet marketing space?
About 7 years.
7 years, okay. And that's kind of, I guess, middle age in internet time. What changes have you seen over the course of your time frame? Did you start in the CPA or cost per action area?
Yeah, we did a little bit of CPA stuff. We've been in affiliate marketing for a long time. Basically, I kind of got started selling other people's products as an affiliate, mostly with free traffic, search engine traffic. And then we moved into having our own products and getting affiliates and all that stuff. And really now we're concentrating very much on building a community, creating a movement, actually starting something of significant value, if you will.
Well, talk to us about starting a movement. First of all, maybe define what you mean when you say that.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my mind, I've always seen starting a movement as having more, you not necessarily global reach, but you are affecting people in a very dramatic way, and encouraging them to really start opening up to their friends about it, and so on. One of the things you asked about the history. One of the things about the make money online space or internet marketing in general, is it's not necessarily mainstream, if you will. People understand it. People understand that you can make money online, but at the same time, it isn't that the systems and the processes and the programs and training and stuff that is out there isn't necessarily geared for starting a real business. Like it's geared for towards generating an income. Do you know what I mean? It's more about the income to get through month to month. I mean, that's even how it's sold. That's how it's pitched, rather than, and all the things that end up going into starting a business, forming an LLC and getting an accountant and all these things that you end up having to muddle your way through, are things that are missing. Those are the things that you learn in a traditional business school, not necessarily advocating a traditional business school either, because so much of it is outdated. But Leveling Up Academy is really trying to bring both of those worlds together.
Would you venture to say making the internet marketing business maybe a little more credible or sustainable?
Yes, absolutely. And that's really the primary point to it. I mean, even when I was in college, I was the president of the Young Entrepreneurs Club. And there was a lot of stuff. I mean, there's just such a different, there's just a shift in mind space between making money online and being an entrepreneur. I mean, entrepreneurs really are, or serial entrepreneurs are really about creating something of lasting value, whereas making money online is more about, anymore today, is more about like a quick fix thing. You know what I mean? Just generating an income.
Yeah, I think that's kind of pretty sad, to tell you the truth. This sort of quick buck mentality and instant gratification oriented thinking, but it's so sexy and appealing to so many people that internet marketing trainers, you can't blame them for selling it that way, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, it sells, and that's the thing but the reason it sells is because you continue to have a new batch of people who are turned on to the idea of making money online and going through and buying these courses. Every time they launch, they buy one or two courses, and then, or three or four, and then they give up and they're like, oh, I tried it didn't work. Whereas entrepreneurs are more about sticking with it and making their idea work and really just sticking it out.
Yeah, the concept of built to last. But what's surprising to me is that, I'd love to get your opinion on it. Remember a few years ago when there were these sweeping legal changes saying that, particularly addressing internet marketers and infomercial marketers probably, the way they use testimonials and things like this. And it doesn't seem like it really changed very much,
It doesn't.
What happened with that?
Yeah, it was like the big change was really that if you were going to use testimonials, then you needed to have record of them, whether it be an email or something. You needed to actually have verifiable proof. So if somebody was to come back and say, is this testimonial real, then you could actually back it up. So
that's not much of a requirement. There's always one or two big success stories you can fish out, right?
Yeah. So, when we actually kind of moved to just not using testimonials. I know testimonials are a great sales tool, but in terms of if your product is actually as good as you say it is and as good as what the sales letter or the sales message or whatever is, then you shouldn't necessarily need testimonials to continue to back it up and maybe pull emotional triggers that don't need to be pulled. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it just doesn't seem like the concept of the average result testimonial ever happened. I mean,
right. Even like I was watching, I like watching infomercials because I'm a marketer.
Oh, they're so good. I mean, you just want to buy everything. They're just incredible formula,
The little disclaimer across the bottom that says this is not an average result. Most people don't lose any weight or whatever,
Most people are just as fat as they were when they started, or even worse, right?
Right. Yeah. You do actually have to get up off your couch and do something,
What a concept. What a concept. Well, talk to us a little bit about the power of podcasting, if you would, and your thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm. I love podcasting for a couple of reasons. One, when you're into podcasting, you end up, first of all, you have a rabid fan base, people who listen to your podcast, and you can talk to them, which is a very integral, bonding medium, like hearing somebody's voice. So the relationship that you can build through podcasting is incredible on a one-to-many level. Number two, iTunes, in order to have an iTunes account, you need to have a credit card, which means, or a PayPal account. So somebody who is listening to your podcast has means to pay money for things. So it's an incredible database or index of buyers. And 3, you can use podcasting very successfully to sell both your products, your affiliate products, building your own list, and so on. Really just by making sure you have little cut segments or your buy URLs and redirect them through an affiliate link. So podcasting really is an incredible medium for reaching a lot of people.
I'm kind of surprised you mentioned that the listeners, in that having an iTunes account, they either need to have a PayPal or a credit card to have an account. Really? You consider that to be a big qualifier? I mean, doesn't everybody have a credit card?
Well, yeah, they do, but they're also they're willing to spend money.
Right. Okay.
So they're willing to spend money on apps, songs, whatever, and they also have an Apple device.
Right. I know that Apple has wrestled with the idea over the years about, is there a way to directly monetize podcasting? Of course, we all monetize, hopefully, our podcasting in the back end, but to do it on the front end, paying 99 cents an episode or something like that. Have you followed that at all, or do you have any thoughts about it?
I have. There's for a while I was a friend and I were doing a podcast that we really played around with the idea of premium podcasts. So using your one podcast a month or 2 podcasts a month as your lead generator show, I guess, and then doing 2 or 3 that were kind of locked away in a membership area for $4 a month or $5 a month, and monetizing that way. You can't necessarily directly monetize through iTunes, but you can pull leads for your premium series from iTunes.
What we do is, for my real estate podcast, The Creating Wealth Show, we pull down some of the old episodes. I mean, not many. We've got about 340 episodes up, or total that have been published. But we'll go through and we'll take certain episodes down that are older and stick them in the archive. And we have a members section where we charge $10 a month. But, in addition to that, we have documents, articles, and monthly conference calls that are private for members only. But, one of the things I've wrestled with on that is with the podcasting, I've kind of noticed that for the members site, it's not really real feasible to use guests in your show and put them only into the member section, because the whole point of the guests coming on your show is they want to get some exposure, right? And so the member section is a much smaller pool than the broader market of just being on a public podcast. So, any thoughts on that as to how you deal with that one?
Yeah, a lot of guests are awesome for like front end, especially if you are going to sell your podcast in a membership section. The guests really provide massive front end value because A, they want to get exposure, so they're gonna give you content. B, they can a lot of times mail for the podcast. They can mail and say, hey, check me out on this podcast, which is another really great lead gen strategy. And then on the backside, in the membership like locked area, then podcasts that are more content based, not necessarily guest based, but something that is more more content based on strategies relating to your podcast maybe. And it might be it's just more about the content and delivering value.
Yeah, good. And any thoughts on the world of tablets and mobile that differ? Of course they differ, and it's all the rage now, but any ways that publishers can better market to tablet users?
I love Kindle Books. I love the Kindle Books strategy in terms of writing a short ebook, putting it in iBooks and Kindle, and using it as lead generation into your business. So selling it for 99 cents, $1.99, $2.99, or even giving it away for free, and just including links in the books, to your squeeze pages or your site or whatever. Really, really like the digital book model. In terms of mobile websites, mobile advertising, like click-to-call advertising, any of that, I have messed around with it enough to know that it's viable. But when I wasn't, the leads that I was generating weren't necessarily good quality leads. I mean, those leads, they didn't come through and buy anything. So it ended up just being a waste of money. That I'm sure has changed to some degree now. But the fact is, I mean, even when you're watching TV, I think it's like 62% of people have a web-enabled device in front of them when they're watching TV. And there's like 20 or 25 have like 2. They have their phone and their laptop sitting on their lap when they're watching TV. So the mobile is definitely interesting. One of the things that I have kind of always thought though is even though mobile is getting incredible like proliferation, everybody, a lot of people are talking about it, a lot of people are building apps and doing all kinds of stuff. People are always going to use the internet. I mean, they're always going to they're going to work on a computer at a desk. I mean, there's just so many things you can't do, from an iPad. So
Well, that's interesting. I mean, name some of them. Personally, I don't use my iPads very much. I use them to read Kindle books, and I use the actual Kindle. I like the Paperwhite, and they just came out with a new one I ordered because it's so light and it's more like a book. But a lot of people just think their iPad is like their. I don't know how they do that. I like a keyboard, and the good old-fashioned laptop is.
so do I. Yeah,
Yeah.
I look at iPads and tablets and stuff as media consuming devices.
Right.
Generally, you consume media through them, but
You don't create it.
you don't create it, right? So, and that's one of the reasons why I like Kindle Books, because they're really easy to put together. They're free to put out there. You don't have to pay anybody anything, and you can start generating leads from them pretty quickly. The one thing is you want to make sure to optimize your keywords in the book listing. So, for instance, we have just a little book that we put together, just testing some stuff out about how to tell if somebody's lying, and that book gets 40 or 50 downloads a month. There's no back-end revenue strategy. It was really just testing out how people find the book and how you can influence rankings in Amazon, which is largely based on sales and feedback, and just kind of going from there.
I see, looking up Kindle here, I see Passive Profit, Phoenix Formula.
Yeah.
Is the lying? I guess the lying book isn't under your name, probably, right?
No, we have a couple different names in
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Good stuff. And so, but what about the back end marketing strategy on Kindle?
Back-end wise, it's really all about the upsells that you put in an email sequence. So you're going to end up, and it's actually a little bit like iTunes. So if somebody buys a book for 99 cents, that means they're actually willing to pay for information. So it's just making sure to include links throughout the book, preferably early in the book too, that lead to your website or lead to an email opt-in page that you then follow up with email.
Good. So we talked about podcasting a little bit. We talked about Kindle and the tablet market. Anything else that you're working on that you want to talk about?
Really, in terms of the upsell process from either podcast or Kindle, you really need to have some sort of a product or a service that you sell. So, like one of the things that we found work really, really well is webinars. Using webinars to sell a product. Giving some content and then following with a short pitch at the end, putting together membership sites or video products. As part of the product that you're actually selling. There's any more. Monetizing experience and monetizing the things that people know how to do from either their current job or something they went through or whatever really is fascinating to me. Like I was on the phone with a client yesterday, and he owns 22 ice cream trucks, and he's 57. He's looking to retire when he's 60. He's like, I have all this knowledge about opening an ice cream business, monetizing an ice cream business, paying off the trucks, all this stuff. Do you think it's worthy of putting together a book or membership site or something? And I was like, well, absolutely. I've seen products that sell really, really well, generating a couple $100,000 a year. How to start a hot dog stand in New York City, or how to have a hot dog stand. So a lot of those little like sub segment, like micro businesses can be really profitable, as well as any of the various niches. Like disaster survival is one that is really interesting to me because National Geographic has the two TV shows now. They have Doomsday Castle and Doomsday Preppers.
Sure. You may not know this, but my number 2 show is called the Holistic Survival Show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I had the Doomsday Preppers stars on the show, and that's
so
a
cool.
hot topic, and I started that back in when did we launch that show? I think in 2008 or 9, when things were looking pretty bleak for sure. They're still looking bleak in some ways, but good in others. And that show gets a lot of interest. I mean, there's There's a lot of people out there that are very interested in prepping, and I think that's a good thing, because if the disaster, really not if, but when, the disaster of some sort hits, the more people are prepared, the better off we'll all be, because people won't be trying to consume your resources. They've got their own to take care of themselves, right?
Yeah. There's just so many different niches and topics and things that you can put an ebook together or put a little video course together or whatever and sell it online. And at that point, time doesn't equal money. At that point, you can comfortably survive. It doesn't take that many sales to generate an income. I mean, I live in Erie, Pennsylvania. It's cheap to live here, $3,000 a month, and you're living a pretty decent life. You know what I mean? And really, 3,000, that's like 100 sales of an ebook.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's amazing. But I always sort of wonder what the longevity is. I mean, I sell on Kindle. I'm not saying I try very hard or do a very good job of it, but is the longevity, is it just sort of perennial? I mean, it obviously depends on the topic and the title and that kind of stuff, because for example, my first book back in 99 was on personal branding and relationship marketing, but I had to rewrite that book to include social media. It's just out of date,
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about the way that revenue stream can continue, or is it a constant work behind the scenes to optimize constantly? And
so it's a really great question. It really depends on your marketing strategy. So for anybody who's ever done any paid traffic, Facebook ads or AdWords or whatever, the traffic stops as soon as you stop paying for it, which isn't necessarily a long-term, revenue. It's not like a set it and forget it revenue strategy. You can just turn on and go. There's a constant management. Yes, you can pay somebody else to do it and whatever, but the products that I've seen that do well forever are generally very niche based. Something like dating is actually a great example of something like this. Disaster survival could be health and fitness, like Truth About Abs or any of those health and fitness kind of products that are generating sales through affiliates. And those affiliates are using search engine, meaning they're getting ranked for keywords and sending the link through their affiliate, through their affiliate link, and then ultimately the person is going and buying a product. Those products tend to stick around for years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years.
I would agree. I've done several shows with relationship experts. I had John Gray on the show. He's the Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I would assume that his books are somewhat perennial. They're probably still... Every day he's making lots of sales, from those books he wrote, 25 years ago or something?
Yeah. So it really just depends on, it depends on the niche, depends on the marketing strategy. That's one of the reasons why we try to stay away from paid traffic as much as possible, because the systems break as soon as you start not focusing on them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good stuff. That's kind of the myth, folks, of internet marketing. This is not as easy as it might appear to some of those folks that say, "Oh yeah, you're going to make a product and you're going to do a $4 million product launch, and you're just going to retire after that, and it's so easy. You're just going to hire someone else to write the product for you. It'll be done in 2 weeks, and you'll do this launch, and you'll make $4 million, and that's it."
Well, and the truth is, it's. Everybody sees the big numbers, especially when there's a product launch. And first of all, you have to have a lot of good relationships in order to successfully pull off a product launch.
Meaning with affiliates.
Yeah, with affiliates. People don't just line up to promote your stuff because you think they should. And number two, they never tell you how much they actually pay out in affiliate commission. So generally, it's 50 to 75%. If you do a $2 million launch, at the end of the day, after everybody is paid, you might walk away with a couple $100,000.
And a lot of these numbers, frankly, there's just a lot of exaggeration, right?
Oh yeah. There's quite a bit of exaggeration, in the numbers.
You see, the problem with the internet marketing world is that in some businesses, of course, you're never looking at the person's tax return, which that's not necessarily true either.
Right.
In a whole other way.
I have seen those videos.
Yeah. But in the internet space, you just really don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just no way to tell. If someone owns a restaurant and they brag about how great they're doing, I mean, all you have to do is walk by and you can
Right.
make a judgment. But in this space, it can be just completely bogus, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of fake it till you make it. I mean, there's a lot of that, and that's kind of all of these things are really why we started Leveling Up Academy was to kind of get out of the whole rat race cycle and actually establish something that had some lasting value. I mean, ultimately the goal is to get it accredited and start doing degree programs. That's that might take 2 years, might take 5 years, but that's where it's going.
Very good. Good to know. Well, what do you think the future of the internet marketing space looks like? Where do you think we're going with this? I mean, we talked about like the cost per action being this sort of quick buck thing. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine people just jump on ClickBank and make a bunch of money. But I mean, you'd have any thoughts about that? Has that changed a lot since it started?
It has. I mean, it really the thing about it is Google is consistently consistently making it more and more difficult to A, get ranked in the search engines, to B, get cheap traffic. I mean, it's not 10 years ago anymore. That before my time, I hear the good old glory day stories, of, traffic was like a cent a click, or, you just had to put up a page and you were on the first page of Google and all that stuff. The thing is there's so much competition. You really have to understand how to get traffic. You have to understand how to monetize that traffic. There are some good systems out there, but you need to actually put the pieces in place in order for it to work. In terms of the future, it's one of those things. It's like mobile, I think, is going to comprise a lot of it. Facebook is going to comprise a lot of it. Right now, Facebook advertising is pretty cheap to get into. Not saying it's going to be that way forever. Digital products are going to comprise a lot of it, and it's not necessarily even what we may know like from ClickBank, but it might be Kindle Books, it might be podcasts or magazines in iTunes, but everything is eventually going to turn into digital. So the sooner you jump on digital products, the better.
That's good advice, Jason. Well, give out your websites and tell people where they can find out more about you.
So my personal website is jasondrohn.com. Drohn is my last name. Levelingupacademy.com is where all of our training is, and I have a book available on Amazon called Phoenix Formula too.
Tell us about Phoenix Formula.
Phoenix Formula is it's more self-help, like upgrade your business, upgrade your life kind of thing. Back in 2009, being dead broke, finding the internet, and really going from there. Actually, I shouldn't say finding the internet, but I moved from helping clients with internet marketing to actually doing it on my own and selling affiliate products and all that stuff. And the transition happened in 2009, and ever since then, it's been awesome. So basically, Phoenix Formula is the process that I use, which is largely inspired by Anthony Robbins and Think and Grow Rich and all of the various self-help books. But it's my slant using my life, examples in my life, and the process that I use and still use to break through barriers and achieve goals and really do what I do.
Good stuff. Well, Jason Drohn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company, all rights reserved. For distribution or publication rights and media interviews, please visit www.hartmanmedia.com or email media@hartmanmedia.com. Nothing on this show should be considered specific personal or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own, and the host is acting on behalf of Platinum Properties Investor Network, Inc. exclusively.